Hey there, and welcome to the IT Guy Show. I'm your host, Eric the IT Guy Hendricks, and this is episode 15. Today, we're going to be talking about what it means to be a developer, and by extension, what is this developer relations, this DevRel thing we keep hearing about. So today, my guest is actually a coworker of mine. He and I met a few months ago, and it's funny just how small the IT community is. Because while Chris and I had never met, we actually know a lot of the same people, have attended some of the same conferences, even once I think at the same time, and just never met until Chris and I started at the same company. So it's been great to work with Chris, and he and I bounce ideas off of each other all the time. So it's a lot of fun. So I wanted to get his take because I mean we've talked about my story, we've talked about my buddy Nate's story as a systems administrator. You know, Nate and I were both on the ops side, so I wanted to get the other side of that coin. What is it like to be a developer? What does it mean to kind of come up as someone who works in code all day? My best programming language is YAML, so there's that. So without further ado, let me bring on my guest, Mr. Chris DeMars. Chris, welcome to the IT Guy Show.
Hey, Eric. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, excited to have you, and glad to be chatting with you, and hopefully, eventually, you and I will end up at the same conference at the same time, and actually be able to share a beer together.
Yeah. One day, hopefully soon. If not this year, hopefully we'll shoot for next year.
There you go. Well, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and definitely share something you enjoy doing for fun.
Yeah. So, name is Chris DeMars. I'm from the Metro Detroit area. I am a senior developer advocate at TuxCare. I've been a front-end developer for going on 30 years in the mix up professionally and not professionally, where I wasn't getting paid, and I finally got paid at one point in life. I've been a developer advocate for a long time, probably since the early 20 teens, officially and unofficially. And what I like to do for fun, I'm a competitive bass angler. I play competitive paintball. I like to get tattooed when I can. That's kind of me in a nutshell. Travel around, look for UFOs and cryptids and ghosts, and love that whole paranormal world.
So tattoos and paintball. So you're a fan of pain.
Yes, I am. Physical pain, I can handle.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey? You said you were a front end developer. How did you get into technology to begin with?
Oh, so that is a huge story. So I think, from my understanding, and this is a long time ago, I got my first computer when I was probably 2, 3 years old, and I know it was a Tandy 1000 series from Radio Shack. All my old school heads know about those old school Tandys running DOS, and
And Radio Shack.
yeah,
May she
and
rest
Radio
in peace.
Shack. That's a throwback to Radio Shack. And then I just do whatever on it because I mean it had DOS. The operating system was cool enough where there was options to do. There was a word processor, there was games, stuff like that. But I didn't know like tons and tons about computers. But I was always around tech when I was a little kid. And then in grade school, we had like old school Apple. I don't know if they might have been Apple IIs in the back of the class. And a buddy of mine was showing me how to like give an input to the like into a prompt and getting an output, and you
Hmm.
could change colors, and it was pretty cool. And he told me it was QBasic. He's like, there's you can buy some books on QBasic. He his dad was a programmer, so he kind of fell in line with that. So this is probably like seventh, eighth grade, maybe sixth, seventh, eighth grade. And I bought a book. I got a book on QBasic for Christmas or my birthday, and I started learning a little bit more about QBasic, and never finished it because they started teaching HTML in seventh and
Hmm.
eighth grade. So I went from QBasic directly to HTML. So this was like 96, 95, 96, 97. And then that's when I say I started writing code. I mean, I know I didn't do it professionally, but when you write your first line of code, you're writing code. So that is when I started, and I've been doing it ever since, my whole entire life. And then got into the developer advocacy stuff in the meetup scene here in Detroit in the early 2010s, like 2010, 2011. I think I got started in the meetup scene. And we didn't have a lot of meetups back in the day in Detroit. And I checked meetup. I would say I checked meetup in like 2008. And I think we had a Drupal meetup, we had a Joomla meetup, and a Jug. I'm like, well, I don't care about any of those. Like, I write front end code. I'm not a back end person. Fast forward a few years later, then they had things like Girl Develop It. Detroit was on the scene. Refresh Detroit was on the scene. I think Mobile Ann Arbor, Southeast JavaScript, which is in Ann Arbor. So all these other meetups popped up. So I started getting heavily involved in them and doing the speaking thing and helping with workshops and attending and building my own community. And then fast forward years later, and here I am, doing the actual role as a developer advocate. So it's been a ride. It's been a ride for sure.
Mm. So one of the things that I like to do on the show is I like to take the jargon and boil it down into its bare essentials. Those dadgum marketing guys. Disclaimer: I am one of those marketing guys. Like to throw terms around and not really define what they are, and then
Yeah.
social media takes those terms and just destroys them and overuses them. So you've mentioned developer relations, this DevRel movement, and
Hmm.
it's gotten so popular over the last decade or so that it's actually a position now. Like you mentioned, you are a senior developer advocate at the company we work for. So in your own words, let's define our terms. What is DevRel?
That is a great question. And it all depends on who you talk to, right? Like the age old saying in DevRel, it depends. Depends on who you talk to. Every person is going to have a different definition for DevRel. Every person is going to have a different definition for developer advocacy. To me, DevRel is not a team. Although I do refer like when I talk in circles, I'll refer to like, oh wait, who's on your DevRel team, right? Or like how big is your DevRel team? So I'll refer to it in circles and stuff like that in general conversation as a team. But to me, DevRel is a mission, and part of that is developer advocacy. There's a bunch of different roles that fall underneath DevRel, but DevRel, we're in the business of building relationships. And I'm going to quote a buddy of mine. I quote him all the time. His name is Shar. He's a very, very big person in the DevRel space, especially the Java community. He said a long time ago, he said, we are in the business of building relationships. That is what DevRel is. And I'm paraphrasing this. Once you start caring too much about the technology, now you are in dev tech. And that's not the sole mission of what we do. We are here to build trust and build a reputation and be authentic to people and authentic with ourselves in the community. And then you break that out into developer advocacy. I have taken bits and pieces from friends of mine, my buddy Guy Royce, my friend Heather Downing. These are all amazing developer advocates in the community. And I've taken pieces from them on how to define developer advocacy, which is under the DevRel role, the DevRel mission, the DevRel team. I am the bridge between the community and the product, or the community and the organization, to help mentor, teach, and also learn. So everybody has a good understanding of how things are working, and I can help eliminate any pain points and bottlenecks and problems within their developer journey. That is what a developer advocate is to me. I'm an ambassador to the community, but I'm also an ambassador to the product.
I love that. The way you describe DevRel sounds a lot like what I set out to do when I started the pseudo show, and then this show but on the ops side. I've often thought that there needs to be somebody out there just kind of setting a tone. I'm not the best sysadmin by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, probably one of the worst, which is why I teach now instead of do. But that's often how I've seen myself, is just a connector of people. Um, I've often described my position as a translator, someone who takes the technical jargon and the tools and translates it to something that people can understand. People that are in the space, people that want to get in the space, people that are trying to understand the space, like my spouse.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of connection. It's a lot of talking, a lot of conversations. So it's nice to see such a focus on DevRel, because very few people are expected to put in as much work and learn as many tasks as possible, like a developer does. I mean, the average developer, I think, knows 4 to 5 different languages to varying levels of efficiency. And if some job descriptions are to be believed, they should know like 8 to 10.
Right.
It's just like, I don't
Yeah.
think you know what kind of a developer you actually want.
No, no, they never do.
So and I talk about marketing a little bit, and I talk about traditional systems administration. So how is DevRel different from those traditional marketing roles?
Yeah, I think the way it's different is that, not that marketing doesn't care about the community. I think marketing's purpose is to get the message across, right? They need to get the message out there, whether that's through written form, whether that's through video, even billboards. When I worked at a company years ago, I was an engineer, and we had billboards. The company I worked for had billboards, and you've heard me talk about poking the bear, and our marketing team would come up with these slogans and these ideas for for billboards. And sometimes it was, poking the bear. Sometimes there were undertones of, doing things a better way, et cetera, et cetera. They want to get the message out to bring the people in.
Hmm.
By getting the message out and bringing the people in, then developer advocates step up to help translate that message to the community that has the questions, right? I think that's one of the differences, and there's probably tons of them out there, but caring about the messaging and getting it out there, intercepting those people that are coming back to help them fully understand what the offerings are from a technical point of view, but also from a people point of view, right? An empathetic point of view. I've always been of the mindset that you have to be a developer before you can be a developer advocate. Now, that doesn't
Great.
mean you can't work in DevRel, because there's other roles in DevRel. There's community managers, social media people. You don't have to be a developer to work in DevRel as a whole. But I truly believe you have to be a developer first before you're a developer advocate, because you have to be able to speak the language. You have to be able to
Mhm.
have been there on the front lines. You have to have the experience of waking up at 3 in the morning because you're on call to fix something that's 2 levels above you that you didn't even need to be a part of, right? Or there's a break in your build, or oh, I missed a semicolon or something. You know what I mean? Like, a marketing person may not understand that, but a developer advocate will, because they were a developer in their previous life and probably still are. They still write code. I mean, I still write code when I get the chance. I can, but there's a lot of context switching and stuff like that, so I don't always get the
Mhm.
chance to sit down and just hammer and learn all the time. But we still write code, and we're still building cool stuff. And you have to know your way around an IDE and a code editor, and how to use package managers and all this other stuff. So it's I think that's what the big one of the differences is between traditional marketing and there's also dev marketing. Dev marketing also can fall under DevRel, but it's a little bit different than marketing.
Hmm. So in your mind, what are a couple of things that make a great DevRel practitioner, and what are a couple of things that absolutely don't make a good DevRel?
Oh, I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this one. It's a big debate. I'm a huge extrovert, right? In my mind, you have to be. You have to be an extrovert. Uh, but then you got your DAs who don't like being in public. They want to write and they want to be behind a camera at home or in their office, which is totally fine. But I think, being able to just be your authentic self is like the number one quality. You have to be authentic. Because community will see through the bullshit. That's just how we are. Developers, community. That's why you never give a product pitch talk at a conference unless it's like a pay to play sponsorship thing, right? You don't want to start just promoting your stuff. You don't want to shill it, because developers will eat that. They'll walk out. I've
Mhm.
walked out of conference talks like that because I didn't
Right.
want to hear it. So being able to be your authentic self is number one. I think being able to have a knack for writing is number two. Being able to conduct yourself on camera is three. Being able to speak and have a good background of public speaking, I think, is also a really, really good one. And then all the stuff that wouldn't make you the best DA is, not having any of that. And so you might not, right? You might not. And maybe DevRel and being a DA isn't for you. But I encourage anybody, everybody has something to talk about. Everybody has something to write about. Everybody has knowledge to share. And I encourage anybody. I'm currently mentoring a friend of mine right now who's going through a boot camp, and they're thinking about kind of maybe doing, being a developer for a while and then getting into DevRel, or maybe getting through the boot camp and then moving into more of a community focused role in DevRel,
Mm.
because they're very bubbly. They're a talkative person, and you can vibe off of them, and that's what community needs, right? Developers need people like that to kind of go along on the journey with.
Mm.
And I always welcome everybody with open arms. You can ask anybody in the community. I don't push anybody aside. I bring everybody in, and I think being able to be, have that deep down empathetic emotional intelligence is big too. Emotional
Mm.
intelligence is one of those things I've had to work on for a long, long time, and I get better at it every day. But being a developer advocate, it's like going from high school to college opens your eyes on the world,
Mhm.
because it did for me. Going from being a developer to a developer advocate and being around people and being within the community really opens your eyes to being 20 times, 100 times more empathetic, 110 times more empathetic and personable. And then you can learn more about yourself too, right? Your
Mhm.
communication style and how you present yourself and stuff like that. So I think all of those things are what make and what break uh, being a DA, or a good or a bad one.
I can relate to a lot of what you're saying, because a decade ago, if you had told me I was going to do this kind of stuff for a living, I would have laughed,
Yeah,
because I'm actually an introvert. Not a lot of people know that, but I'm an outgoing introvert. The difference between a true extrovert is extroverts get a lot of energy from being around people. An outgoing introvert like myself, I love going to conferences. I love hanging out at the booth. I love giving talks. I love hosting podcasts, but it's very exhausting for me.
yeah,
So an extrovert gets energy from other people, whereas an introvert loses energy to other people. Um, and so, a decade ago, I would have laughed if you would have told me that I would be looking forward to giving talks. In fact,
yeah.
just a month or so ago, I was up in Vancouver for an Alma Linux Day, and got to give a talk and got to engage with the community. It was a blast. But I came home and didn't speak to anyone for like 2 days just to
Yeah.
recover.
Well, and I
So
have friends that are introverts that are developer advocates too. And
mm,
they travel and they speak and they're heavily involved in the community. And you would never know that they were
right.
introverts. But they do need that time away to recharge. And I guess a buddy of mine called me out on this a couple years ago, and he said something about decompressing
Mm,
after talks. Because I've lately, past couple years, I've found myself, after I give a talk, I don't stick around the conference anymore.
mm,
I go back to my room and I chill, or I take a nap or something.
mhm.
But I never noticed that in the past until someone called it out, and they're like, "Yeah, DeMars, we couldn't find you anywhere. Like, what are your?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. Oh, now I see a pattern that I'm doing this now." So maybe the older I get, the more I feel like I need that recharge as well.
Mm. So was there an aha moment when you went from I'm a developer to I'm more of a community person, when you like mentally made that switch from developer to DA?
Oh, officially or unofficially?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I think it's just, it's something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to be a DA. As an engineer, I had friends that were developer advocates. So I didn't become an official developer advocate until 2020. That was when I got an actual title, and I was doing everything prior to that. I was a Google developer expert in web technologies. I was a Microsoft MVP in developer technologies. Like, I got all of these accolades and recognitions through my community work. So that kind of helped, right? Because I knew I was good enough to move in the community and do stuff like that. because you have to be able to do the community things. That's what gets you those awards. I was an Oracle Groundbreaker ambassador, and I don't know a thing about Java. I know that like jar files are a thing. I know there's like NetBeans and Eclipse and JetBrains makes like an IDE or something. I don't know. I know that we offer a product, but the people who are running the program, they said, Chris, we don't even need you to know about Java or Oracle. We just want you because of your name. Like that was big for me because they're like, we know you have a big following. But I've been an Auth0 ambassador, Cloudinary media developer expert. So like I let all of those accolades lapse. So I'm former of all of those. The only thing I currently hold is I'm a current progress champion, progress Telerate champion through my community efforts. But I think I paid out of pocket for so many things. I think one of the things that kind of really, really pushed it was just the way people would come, like attend some of my talks maybe. Cause I would pack out rooms at some point, and just the way people would say, "Oh, Chris, we love the way you speak and how you conduct yourself in a room and all this other stuff." So it only made sense to go officially into developer advocacy. And like I said, it was something I've always wanted to do because I've had friends that did it at companies all over the place. And it was just the natural progression. Like I care about people and I want to teach, and I love mentoring and helping others. So being able to do this and being able to command a room only made sense. So.
So this question may be as much for me as it is for the audience, but how do you balance that authenticity, that view of yourself with the need to represent a company or a product? Because as much as I like to fashion myself as an ops rel, is kind of the joke that I use. I've been a product marketer for the last 4 or 5 years. So I have to balance my own story, my own experiences with messaging around a company and or a product. So how do you strike that balance?
To be honest, I just send it. Like it's a full send for me. I can't be anything other than myself, and I tell people the way it is. I don't beat around the bush, and that's one of the things I've been commended on in the community is that I'm not a BSer, and I'll tell you like it is. And I'm a big proponent of like if the company screwed up, let the community know. Like, hey, yeah, we screwed up, but we're fixing it. Because you don't want to start sweeping stuff under the rug, because that'll the community will find out, right? But being able to just be your authentic self, and there's other ways I do that too. Like if we have like really dope swag, like I'll rock swag at conferences and show off, but people will see that and then they'll get engaged. Like, oh yeah, what's that? What's this? What's that? Oh, that's cool. That's a sweet hat you got on. And then you start having those conversations, right? And I hopefully think I'm a fun guy to be around. I like to make people laugh, and that's really where the balance is. Like, yeah, there's always going to be a balance, but keeping it on the higher end of being authentic than being fake, wholeheartedly, is the goal. And I think that's how I've come to build the network I have, and have gotten to the place I'm at because I wasn't fake.
I like that. So I've gotten to know you a little bit over the last few months, and I've been following you on social, and I've listened to some of the talks that you've given recently. And one of the themes that comes up in your talks, almost very consistently, is empathy in tech. And you talk a lot about emotional intelligence and empathy. So what does that look like in practice? How have you applied that in your own space?
Oh, that's another great question. No, you have to be able to listen and take what people are saying to heart. That's how you do it. When I was at one organization I was at prior, I would have people hit me up in DMs saying they're having problems with this tech or this product for the company, and I would have them break it down for me, exactly what they're going through, issues, screenshots, etc. And because I'm not a fan of support tickets and support ticket systems and SLAs like that. Like, if I can help you sidestep a support ticket and get the information directly to you quickly as possible, I'm going to do that. And
Hmm.
that's empathy, to me at least, is understanding and listening, and then being able to get them the support and help that they need. And I've done that. I did, like I was saying, I did that at an organization I worked at, where people would hit me up in DMs or LinkedIn or whatever, Slack, Discord, and I would take their issue. And if I didn't understand it or know how to fix it, I would take it back to the team that supported that product. Let them know, like slide in a DM with somebody, let them know, hey, this is a community member of ours. They're having issues with this, this, and this. Here's a breakdown of what they're going through and what their problem is, and a walkthrough. How can we fix it? How can we assist them? What are they doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? Get the answer right away, and then go directly back to them and completing that feedback loop.
Hmm.
That is where the empathy comes in, because you can't just brush it off, or you can't just say, oh, okay, yeah, give me a day or two, right? We are ambassadors of the community. We should be helping and supporting the community as much as we can, as often as we can. So being able to be empathetic to their needs is one way that I put it in practice and still use it in practice today.
Hmm. I love that. So let's shift gears a little bit, and I want to start out by asking one of the audience's favorite questions. Do you have a story or an anecdote of when you've given a talk or a demo that just completely bombed? Um, People seem to love to revel in other people's pain. So do you have a good conference story?
I do. I do have advice though too. Always record when you're don't never live code. Never live code, because it's always something's gonna break. It's just the way it is. Like, you could do a demo 5 minutes before you get up on stage, and you do that same exact demo, and something happens. Your machine dies. If you're on a Windows machine, you might get an upgrade like right off the rip. Oh, conference Wi-Fi sucks. Anything.
Yep.
Systems could be
Always
down.
terrible.
Servers are down. Yeah, it sucks. So just take a video of it when it works on some type of stable system or network environment. But last year I was speaking at Commit Your Code, which is an awesome code. If anybody, Commit Your Code was just happened, and I was there. But I spoke there last year too, and I was doing a demo on deploying UFO data to the cloud. And I love doing this talk too. I got to figure out another way of doing it. But I open up the talk with UFO, like famous UFO cases, abductions and sightings, like 3 of them, I think. It's about Roswell, Betty, and Barney Hill. I might talk about I don't know. I know I talk about Roswell and Betty and Barney Hill, the Betty and Barney Hill case. And then I go into the technology that I'm going to be using, or that we are going to be using in the talk. And it was just a 45-minute. It wasn't a workshop or anything. And I go through all the technology we're going to be using, and I show what we're going to build, or how I built it, and the tooling behind it. So I walk through some React components that I built. I walk through how to, set up a database, manage database service, and then using Compass to consume that data and pull that in. And it was using Next and Mongo, and then deploying that to the cloud. So I showed like a final, but I wanted to actually do the deployment. But I wanted to change. I was adding one entry into the database. I think I was adding the aerial school sighting that happened in Zimbabwe, Africa. I think 93 or 94. And I was adding that to the database. The database would pull that in. The component would get generated based on how many entries were in the database. So I did all that, and I was going to redeploy it, and the deployment broke right on the spot. And so I'm standing there, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then people were laughing in the audience. They're like, "Oh, the government probably didn't want you to do that," and all this. We were having fun with it. We were talking about the Men in Black and all this other stuff. And then, like, in the meantime, like, you got to be quick with things, right? So you got to find a way to fill the time. So I started just asking people while it was trying to run or breaking, or I was rerunning it, hey, have you ever had a UFO sighting, or have you ever seen an unidentified flying object, or do you have a story or anything like that? And people are raising their hands and talking about, excuse me, they saw a UFO here, and we were talking about other sighting in the Rendlesham Forest, and it was really fun. So if something breaks, make sure you have a way to fill the time, whether that's cracking jokes, walking around the room. I don't know. I do a bunch of things. Like if something happens or I'm waiting for something, I'll start cracking jokes. I'll get off the stage, walk around the room and talk to people and ask questions interactively throughout the room. Or you just start asking people about UFO sightings if they've ever seen one. So that's what to do.
So I've been in your shoes before. One of the first sales demos I ever did. I mean, we're talking just a couple of months after leaving IT operations to go into sales. I was doing a local demo off a virtual machine on my laptop, shared over Zoom or whatever, and of course the build failed. So
Of
I
course.
was somewhat smart because sysadmin, so I had backups. So I started running it off the cloud. So went from using local GitLab because I was working for GitLab at the time to using GitLab.com. Well, GitLab's connection to AWS or something goofed at the exact same time. And so I went through my demo and then my backup and was like, I swear to you, this works and it works great. Can you take my word for it this time and we'll try again another day?
That's funny.
So ever since then, I have multi levels of backups when I do a talk. Like when I went to Alma Linux Day just a month or so ago, I had I was talking about deploying images, identical images for VFX. So if you're an animator or something, being able to have the same build across multiple different distributions or against multiple different infrastructures. So I was using Image Builder, which allows you to design your own, basically your own installer, and so it takes far too long to try and do that during a talk. And I hate kicking off a demo and then talking and then coming back and then picking the demo up. I'd rather walk through it from start to finish. So while I could have done it live, sometimes Image Builder takes 5 minutes, sometimes it takes 20 minutes. I wasn't going to risk it. So I took a video right here at my workstation at home and then edited it down. And and I call it out in the talk. It's like, and now post editing magic. Here you go, and we don't have to wait for all the packages to download. Ta-da! So a 15-minute demo is now 3. But because I learned from past mistakes, I also had screenshots of key points in the video demo so that if for some reason my slideshow wouldn't show the video, I at least could go in and grab the screenshots and then talk through what
Hmm.
happened. So I've been there. It's not fun. And if you're a person that gets easily frustrated with technology, probably not a space for you. Because like you, I have to, you crack jokes or I mean, people aren't dumb. If they're here to see a demo, they know that it's going to break.
Right.
In fact, I frequently make the jokes about have we made the proper sacrifices to the demo gods, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I've been there and I know what that's like. So so you talk all over the place. It seems like every other week you're traveling. I look at your schedule and just like I'm exhausted. Um, So what's your secret? How do you deal with the pressure of being always on, and how do you battle like burnout in that type of situation?
How do I maintain? That's a great question too. It's and I it's community. Like
Hmm.
that's how I do it. It's community. I have a whole slide dedicated in my talk about community. And yeah, you follow. Yeah, I know you follow me. We follow each other on Twitter. I'm always using the hashtag developer community. I stole that from my buddy David Pine. David works at Microsoft. He works on the Docs team over there, .NET Docs, I believe, still. And I took that from him because he would always go through a spiel about developer community and how important developer community is in his conference talks. And this was years ago. So I took it from him. And it's the community. And I always talk about, how developer community is extremely important to me. And I bring up the point that, you the people in my audience are the reason I live out of suitcases and hotels. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm
Mhm.
doing it for you. I'm doing it so we can learn. I'm doing it to help you and mentor and teach. And I talk about how, I feel we almost lost the developer community back in 2020
Mm.
with COVID. And yeah, we're still going through COVID. I don't think we're ever, it's never going to go away. But I mean, as well as I do, everything went virtual and conferences shut down and meetups shut down. And there was no community.
Mhm.
Like there was no community. We had no way to get with people. Doing virtual events, conferences, like webinars are different, but doing virtual talks was not my bag. Like I'm not here to look at a camera and not have that interaction with my
Right.
audience. I could crack a joke. I don't know if someone's laughing. I don't know if someone's sleeping right behind the other side of the camera.
Right.
So I think we almost lost it. And when 2021 rolled around, 2022 rolled around, and some conferences started to bring it back with restrictions, I think that started to rebuild that community again, rebuild the community again. But I don't think we've ever recovered. We haven't. There's a lot of meetups that are
Mhm.
gone, that are not going to come back. I run a
Yep.
meetup in Detroit JS, and I there's just so much happening and so little free space anymore because places won't give you their space for free anymore.
Yep.
Everybody's charging, and when you don't have sponsors, you can't just always front that out of pocket. So, but even conferences, some conferences they're struggling, or they're still struggling. Some didn't make it back from that. Apparently, though, in Europe, the conferences have been back like 110%.
Mm.
Like amazing. Like I've heard from everybody. Just European conferences, they're flourishing. I don't know why. Um, but that's what makes me always on is community. It's always
Mm.
community. Burnout is another situation. There was one year where I did 30 events
Oof.
all over the world. Yeah, not including meetups either. I did 30 events. So I was on the road every other week, or probably every week, half of the year. Let's say half of the year I was on the road. And it did get to a point, like I thought I wasn't going to get burned out, and it just got to a point where I'm like, I can't do this. Like I need to chill. And then I was like, I'll go back. So I got burned out. I took a break for I think a little while, and then I went back on the road and did it again. But I also said last year or the year before that I there's too many other interests and things that I want to do outside of work, and I don't ever get the opportunity to do them because I'm
Mm.
traveling to speak at conferences. So I said a couple years ago I was going to scale back, and I did. I scaled back. I've been scaling back the past couple years,
Mhm.
but try to get back on the road as much as I can. I hope that we're going to be doing stuff on the road, and there's more support to buy like 10 tickets to an event and then disperse them out, and it'll be fun. Like I like to get back to reInvent. As
Mm.
much as I don't like Vegas, I do like reInvent. And there's two reasons I don't like Vegas. One, it's too much walking. I'm not a walker. My girlfriend loves to walk. She loves walking. I can't stand walking. And two, it's too dry. I did a paintball tournament. I played a paintball tournament in Vegas last year. I think last year. Yeah, it was the opener last January or February, and it was windy and it was kicking up the dust, and
Mm.
oh, it was miserable. It was hot. I mean, it's hot in Vegas, but it was just dry and dusty, and
Mhm.
my sinuses and my head were just destroyed. The whole week I was there. When I got home, it's skin's cracking because it's just. Ugh. But reinvent is cool. The experiences are cool. It's just Vegas is. I'm just not a fan. Just not a fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's
hopefully
it's
we get to do
brutal when
reinvent or something like that.
I've been to reInvent 3 times, I think, and it's brutal. It's about a mile walk from your hotel room to the expo floor, and
Yep.
that's if you're lucky. So.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, if you can get a hotel close to it, it's cool.
Mhm.
But yeah, just the walk and then having to walk through casinos and people are smoking
Yep.
and it's or going upstairs and then downstairs and then across. It's You got to have
And good
walking
luck
shoes.
finding a place to eat unless you have an invite.
That too. That too. It's hectic, but it can be fun. You got to make it fun.
So I've got a crowd favorite section for you. Now
Sure.
these are going to be rapid fire questions, so don't think,
Oof.
just answer. So I got a couple of them for you.
Okay.
Rapid fire question number 1. What's your favorite tech stack or language to play with?
CSS.
Go to conference speaker fuel. So what do you like to drink when you're at a conference?
Beer.
uh,
Coffee in the morning. Coffee in
there
the
you
morning. KCDC. Yeah, KCDC would be number 1 conference, and coffee.
go. Most overhyped trend in DevRel.
AI.
And then what do you wish more companies understood about developer audiences?
That they come from all walks of life, and not everybody's a senior.
Mm. I haven't been keeping score, but I think you might have won. Those were really good.
Appreciate you.
So where can people follow your work, talks, or just reach out to and connect?
Yeah, Twitter is the best place to get at me. Salt and Burnham on Twitter. If you are a Supernatural fan, you'll understand the reference with Salt and Burnham. You can get at me on Blue Sky, at ChrisDeMars.net on Blue Sky, Chris DeMars on LinkedIn. Those are the 3 main places I'm at. Most likely it'll be on Twitter. You want to catch any of my talks, just go on YouTube and you can just search my name and I should come up. You go ChrisDeMars.com. I have a blog, or no, ChrisDeMars.net. I don't even know. Let me see.
No worries. We'll definitely have links to all that in the show notes. So closing thoughts. What is one piece of advice to someone moving into DevRel?
One piece of advice moving into DevRel. My buddy Gant told me this a couple years ago because I was nervous before a talk, and he said, "You're not nervous, you're excited."
Mm.
So don't go into developer advocacy and DevRel being nervous.
I
Go
love
into it being excited. And I'm quoting him. Gant Laborde, amazing buddy of mine, works at Infinite Red. Don't go into it nervous. That
that.
nervous is excitement, and treat it as such.
I like that, and I've found that to be true. I might steal that.
Go for it.
Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciated kind of getting to know you over the last few months and sharing stories. And we definitely need to meet up at some point. And I'm sure we have a lot of fun conference stories to share over
Sure.
an adult beverage.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, Eric. Thanks so much, bud.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us. This has been episode 15, talking about DevRel with Chris DeMars. As always, make sure you hit the like button. That way, we know that you actually listen and do as you're told. Also, hit subscribe so you hear anytime we go live. Been recording episodes every other week, so glad to have that cadence going. And I look forward to this every time. I get to meet some amazing people. So make sure you hit subscribe. That way, you get notified anytime new content is published. Coming up next, I've got a couple of episodes kind of doing story arcs right now, it feels like. Next episode, we're going to be talking about layoffs and not if they come, but when they come. So I'll talk a little bit about my personal story and what happened in my 2025. Followed up by going to have a couple of conversations with folks talking about how to avoid layoff burnout, how to prepare yourself for job hunting. So got a great guest lined up for that. So you definitely want to stay tuned because layoffs are a reality in our industry, and not just on the product side, but also on the developer and industry side as well. So definitely want to catch those episodes. Meantime, you can join us on our Discord or our Matrix room. Those links are also in the show notes. So I really appreciate you tuning in. Really appreciate you all engaging in the community. And we'll look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you very much.